That's like first starts like, I need 5 volunteers. For what? All right, I need 4 volunteers. Yeah.
Hey, Canteeners, welcome back to What Number Are We Thinking of?
Our favorite number.
69, dudes. Welcome to episode 69. And you know, we're gonna try to kind of steer away from politics in this one and just kind of do another BS session because I think we kind of need busy few weeks for the three of us. And Josh, maybe you can tell us about the wonderful opportunity where it landed right in your lap, and then you just looked that gift horse in the mouth and said "F you" to the person who offered it. You know, maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we can talk about the community garage sale we had here at Ransom Canyon. Maybe we'll get a few new listeners. I've been pimping the show pretty hard. I'm wearing my woke hat, so I might be a little bit sensitive this show. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know, man. I don't even know where to start. So let's go with Roger. Roger,
Well, I like the hat, right? I like that because it's not even just the woke. It's the color scheme, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole white hat with the black woke. Man, that's pretty badass. Ah, there you go. In MAGA, lowercase though. So, we've been doing some traveling. We have this goal. My wife and I we're going to hit all the state parks in Arizona and take our travel trailer out there or whatever. And I went down to Kartchner Caverns and we did the standard tour. You go down to Bisbee and you go down to Tombstone, and I see firsthand, what the fallout from the new administration and their policy, where we had the one border patrol checkpoint down there, and those that have been down to Huachuca know exactly what we're talking about. It's been there for over 20 years, and it was closed down, man. I was like completely shocked. But anyway, so we see that, I'm like, yeah, well, he's probably in Del Rio, Texas, or whatever in the heck. So we drove down to Tombstone, and it's the roads in Tombstone used to be dirt, like right minus now, man. So I was like, they took away from like the whole nostalgia anyway. So we go down there, we do that thing, we eat, have a couple beers, come back, and then of course my wife's like, hey, we need to watch Tombstone. So we pulled up on the Apple TV, we watched Tombstone or whatever, and I think that so this movie came out in 1993. And let me ask you, so who are the good guys in Tombstone? Like the whole OK Corral, that whole incident, right, back in the 1880s or whatever. Who are the good guys?
Well, I can tell you who they were supposed to be. It was supposed to be
Wyatt Earp
and Doc Holliday, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're not. So I sat here and I tell you, I don't know if it's because of the podcast and all the, being, supportive of 2A and you being anti-2A, but it all came up when I was like, wow, I'm like, the Earps were the bad guys. And the Clanton McLaury gang were actually the good guys. Now, I'm not talking about like their past history because they were all shitbags, right? Like even Wyatt Earp, I mean, he had a history of robberies and burglaries and this and that, was arrested and all that other stuff. But just to recap a little bit. So you look at, 26 October, 1881, you had the fight at the OK Corral, which I don't think that the fight actually happened in the corral. I think it actually happened in the alley, behind the corral or whatever. But you had the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday, and they fought the, Clanton McLaury gang. And when you look at how that came to fruition, do you remember what started the friction between the two? I mean, other than their just, their personalities. It was Virgil Earp who became a deputy marshal, and he said, you can't have your guns in town. Right? So you either had to go check your guns in at the hotel, I think it was the Grand Hotel or something like that, or you had to check them at the sheriff's station, and then when you left, then you could pick your guns back up again. So you had the Clanton gang that was actually from Tombstone. I think they had a ranch just outside or something like that, and they weren't good people, right? I mean, they were robbing folks and burglaries and this and that and killing people or whatever. So I'm not saying that like character-wise beyond this that they were great people, but these were some folks that lived in town. All of a sudden, the Earps come in, fast forward a little bit, summarizing, and they say, hey, guess what? You can no longer carry guns in town. So basically Luke's people. So it said, hey, you can't carry guns in town anymore. The Clantons and McLaury are like, hey, screw this. And then it all goes down. So I'm sitting here looking at it. I'm like, man, I have been on the wrong side of this since 1993. I don't know why it happened all of a sudden then, but I was like, man, these guys were just like, hey, my Second Amendment says that I can carry guns here. You posted a sign saying no legislation or anything, right? I mean, he was just a deputy marshal, just came up with, hey, here's the decree, and I've been on the wrong side of that. So I guess I owe the gang a huge apology.
You're like Johnny Ringo, and I'm like Doc Holliday. That's all there is to it.
Well, Doc Holliday doesn't kill Johnny Ringo.
In the movie, he didn't?
In the movie, he does, but in real life, he does not.
Right.
They ever figured out who actually killed Johnny Ringo?
They don't. They've got one guy like Frank Leslie that they think did it, but Doc Holliday was actually in a courtroom in Colorado during that. Like, I forget what day it was that Johnny Ringo died, but like he died on the 13th or whatever, and the 12th and the 14th, Doc Holliday was actually in a courtroom up in Colorado. So it's like there was no way he was going to get back, shoot him in the face, and
Can
then
I ask Josh a question? Josh, I'm going to ask you a question. Two questions. You've seen both Tombstone and Wyatt Earp?
Yes.
Acting wise, who do you think did a better job, Dennis Quaid in Wyatt Earp or Val? Your answer, but who?
I got to go with Val Kilmer. Yeah, they say Wyatt Earp was more historically accurate overall throughout all the characters, but Val Kilmer in Tombstone, him playing Doc Holliday, hands down, not even close.
Well, I kind of see it like the Joker movies. You had the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, best Joker ever. But the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, it was a kind of a different type of portrayal, and that's how I see Dennis Quaid. I see kind of Val Kilmer as your Heath Ledger, just outstanding performance. But man, I just don't take anything away from Dennis Quaid's portrayal. Because he was.
Yeah, he was good. Don't get me wrong, but if I have to pick one over the other, then I'm gonna pick Val Kilmer, skinny Val Kilmer. He's not so.
Did you watch the documentary about him? I think it might be on Amazon or something.
No.
There's a oh man,
there is one on there. I didn't see it,
folks,
but yeah,
y'all go watch that, man. It's real. I thought it was really, really good. And yeah, just go watch. I won't ruin it for anybody, but he for years, the guy has documented his own life, his ups, his downs, and some pretty serious health issues. He's documented everything. He's actually lost his voice now completely. And it's kind of sad, but at the same time, you're like, wow, I had no idea. That this was Val Kilmer. It's really good. Just check it out.
He's always, ever since I think the first movie I ever saw, the first one most people saw him in was Top Gun. The Saint was, but by and large, he's a good actor. I don't think there's that I was just like, this guy is absolutely terrible and shouldn't be. That's sad to hear that that he's completely, because he's a good actor. From what I've seen from the documentary, what I've seen from the news, a fairly decent person from what I know. So yeah, that's sad to hear.
But Kevin Costner was a flop in the movie. I didn't care for him at all as Wyatt Earp.
I tell you, Kevin. Yeah, no, 100%. Kevin Costner. I want to like Kevin Costner, and they're Dancing with Wolves. Who doesn't like Dancing with Wolves? What a great movie. But Kevin Costner, you're like, when he did Wyatt Earp, you're like, this is absolutely 100 terrible. This is atrocious. And but after watching Yellowstone, I have a newfound respect for Kevin Costner. Dude, Yellowstone, fantastic. He is fantastic.
Well, it's the role though, right? Because he plays like just his whole personality is like very stoic. It's almost like a monotone type disposition. He's not going to get overly fired up one way or another, and this, that. And I think with the Wyatt Earp, when you look at that whole series or that movie, you kind of had to have that, because that's what I think when you look at Tombstone and the Doc Holliday character. Same thing with like the Joker. I think those are easy characters to play because they don't have to be good. They're bad. They're a little bit of both, but you have to have a strong central character, right? Your focal point. And so I think when you look at, Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner, you just, dude, like that's your main character right there. And I just thought he was like, just kind of blah.
You talking about Dances with Wolves reminds me that, so with Dances with Wolves is like that storyline kind of repeated itself in a number of movies, and the one that comes to mind is The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Dude, that was just Dances with Wolves with Japanese guys. I mean, that's it. It was ridiculous. I remember what Paul Mooney said. He's like, freaking really out all his cuss words. Paul Mooney is a comedian, kind of a harsh comedian, and he was doing a thing, and he said, The Last Samurai starring Tom Cruise, Hollywood's crazy. Hollywood's absolutely crazy. How about we have a movie called The Last Black Man on Earth starring Tom Hanks? I mean, Tom Cruise as the last samurai in Japan. Come on, man. But yeah, I don't know. I'm with you guys with Kevin Costner. I still haven't watched Yellowstone because I have to subscribe to some channel or something. I guess I'm too cheap. I think I'm going to get rid of my Disney subscription because that's just been flat, man. There hadn't been anything come out. And I think, HBO axed their thing with Amazon, which was upsetting to me because I like to watch The Sopranos while I cook. It's strange. And now I've got to subscribe
Cooking
to
spaghetti,
HBO Max.
pasta,
Yeah. Yeah.
calzones.
So racist.
Hey, man, I'm appropriating culture is what I'm doing. I'm white. That's what I do.
Do you guys have Apple TV?
No, I do not.
Dude, that's the way to go, man. I tell you, with a lot of, and we still have like Netflix and Hulu and all that other stuff, but like the Apple TV original series that are coming out, yeah, they're fantastic. They're fantastic, and it's kind of crazy because you don't see it advertised anywhere. Like I think at the very beginning when Apple TV first came out, we're talking about the video streaming service. There were some, they had a couple plays here and there, but they've got some big time actors, and they've got some really. They're kind of going the Netflix model when they came out with the Netflix, original series. Whatever. That's kind of what they're doing. And it's almost like I get this feeling that they're kind of building up their library, and then there's going to be this huge marketing push, kind of like, C3 podcasts, where before we get on Facebook, it's like, hey, maybe we get like 30 or 40 episodes in so we can actually have folks that go back and want to binge listen or binge watch or whatever.
So I have seen, Roger, I have seen a lot of those advertisements for some of the TV shows on, I'm like, oh, this TV show looks cool, and then at the end it says Apple TV Plus or whatever. So have you watched any of those TV shows? Are they any good? Because they look good, the trailers.
So right now the big ones we're watching is the series called C. They're in season 2. Fantastic. My wife watched it I think last year when season 1 came out, and she just the guy's name, the dude that plays the husband in Game of Thrones, the one dude that dies early, Khaleesi's husband.
Oh no, Khal Drogo.
So anyway, so that whoever that dude is, he's the lead character of this thing, and it's about a whole civilization blind, right? The world is blind. But anyway, you can kind of take it from there. Yeah, Jason Momoa. So he's like the lead in that thing. Fantastic. I started watching, like, wow, next thing you know, you're through season 1 and we're burning through season 2. The morning show, fantastic. It's got Jennifer Aniston in it and a couple other big name characters, and they really talk about the whole, the sexual harassment, sexual assault scene, and like as far as with the Today Show and on network television, they kind of go into their own little, hey, we're the whatever channel. I think they're supposed to be like NBC or something like that, but we've watched a couple of them. I think the one that we haven't hit yet, Ted Lasso, is supposed to be fantastic. But I haven't moved on to that yet. But yeah, dude, if you don't have Apple TV, find somebody that's got a subscription and watch it. It's pretty good.
Josh, Rob, with this one. Who does Florida State play today?
They played. They actually won their first game weekend against Syracuse, but I can't remember. They play today.
They play North Carolina today. What do you?
Oh, that's right. They play North Carolina. Honestly, it depends on which Florida State shows up. Like, last weekend against Syracuse, they played Syracuse decent. They didn't make a lot of stupid penalties, and won it in the last couple of seconds with a field goal. But yeah, it depends on which Florida State shows up. They have the talent to beat UNC down. It's just being consistent, beating up Mike Norvell, the head coach. Which, again, man, Florida State, you've got 2 seasons generally as a new coach, and if you don't win in those 2 seasons, if you don't at least have a either record or a winning record, you're going to be gone. At the end of the day, you can't coach. It's not when receivers are dropping passes, when the quarterback's overthrowing receivers, when the running back, are fumbling the ball, or when, you just can't at a certain point, hey man, that's on the players to execute. But we'll see. I don't know if Roger wants to put a friendly wager on the game.
Oh, I'm good with it. We're 17.5-point favorites.
Yeah. Are you guys ranked?
I don't think you guys are either.
I know we're not ranked. I was asking if you were ranked, but good way good way to say we're not ranked. Good way to say we suck too.
When was the last time we've been ranked?
Well, I think y'all were ranked this year, weren't you?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
You get I'm talking like your top 5, right?
Oh,
I mean, I don't care. College football. I mean,
top 25.
No, but it's different because the disparity in
not.
college foot. Anyway, so when you're watching college basketball, right, and you have a team that's a top 5, you could be number 3 in the nation, and you're playing the number 18 team, dude, it's going to be a good game. I know the odds are going to be in the favor of the top 3 team or whatever, but it's going to be close, and it's probably going to come down to the wire. College football is not like that. If you're the number 3 ranked team and you're playing number 7, you're probably going to win by 40. The way the odds break out. And so whatever. Did you shake your head? You're so full of shit.
You obviously didn't.
Go ahead, Jen Psaki.
Game.
Go ahead, Jen Psaki, and cherry pick your one game.
It's not my fault. You don't know what you're talking about. Basically, did not watch the Florida Gators play Alabama. They weren't even close, but yet, certain games, it doesn't matter who's ranked what. To be a good close game.
No, you're absolutely right. You got your rivalries and this and that. Yeah, but I'm saying generally across the board, the disparity when you look at college basketball between college football, it is a lot different. I mean, generally speaking, I think in college basketball, when you look at your top 25 teams, it's going to be probably a pretty close game. And football just doesn't tend to be that way.
Yeah, zero reason for number 21 Texas to be for 6 ranked Oklahoma right now, 28-7.
There you go. Cherry pick one game.
Yeah, generally, I'm just reading down the scoreboard.
So are you saying? So take a stance on it, Josh. So are you saying that the college football games are your top your competitions between your top 25 are just as close as college basketball in the top 25? Is that your position?
No, because according to you, that you're not ranked unless you're.
Well, yeah, because college. Does it matter in college football if you're outside the top 5?
Number 17, Mississippi's up in Saw right now, but I'm
are
only
you,
cherry picking a game or 2.
So are you taking a stance then?
Am I taking a stance that all games in college football are the same as basketball? No, because they're comparing apples and oranges.
So if there was a college football playoff, Josh, would you ideally should it be 16 teams?
I think it should be.
I do too. I mean, but yeah, I agree. But I'm going to meet Roger kind of halfway on this one because it's like the 16th ranked team is not going to go to the top at all. They're not going to get out of, especially if they do it. Dude, I just don't think it would work because the 10 through 16 really truly don't belong there. Whereas in college, you look at who actually wins the national championship, I don't know, I may be wrong on this one, Roger, but I would want to say it's very rarely the number 1 ranked team at the end of the season going into the tournament.
Well, you look at it this way. You know how many times all 4 number 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four? I don't think it's been any. I think it's 0. It might be 1, but I think it's 0.
I don't think to say, 10 through 16 don't belong there. It's, it just again, man, it depends on what team shows up, and it depends on it depends on the day. There are teams that are a different caliber than some others, but man, when you're talking college, yeah, if you're if Alabama is going to come in and play TCU, yeah, T going to beat Alabama, or not going to beat 2013 Florida State. Dude, to say that 10 through don't belong there, no.
Well, yeah.
If they are going to do the playoff thing, it needs to be 16 teams, and they just need to be done with it. Whoever's if you're not going to do that, then hey, whoever's the weekend of the last game championship, and that's that. Number 1 and 2.
So how about when I belong? I'm saying the 16th ranked team, like right now, is Kentucky, and college football. And it's like when I say they don't belong, I'm saying there is no way Kentucky is ever going to beat Alabama. There's just not, or even Cincinnati. This is just not going to happen. I mean, I guess it could, you could have your fluke, whatever, but I don't know. But the 16th ranked team in college basketball taking on number 1, I give it more of a shot, I guess. I don't know, but
that's because basketball. That's because basketball sport.
I just, well, and I think we're talking about your top 5, right? Because I think when you look, bottom line is this: if I had $1 million that I had to bet, and I had to choose between betting, a top 5 team playing whoever in college basketball and a top 5 team playing whoever in college football, I'm betting on the college football game. I'm doing it every single time because chances are I'm going to get my money back on a top, 5 team in college football versus college basketball. That's my point.
Yeah. Well, word with you.
So who would you bet on then? Would you bet on the football or the basketball team? You had $1 million. You had to bet it. Top 5.
I don't bet.
Scared.
I don't. Hey man, I don't make that big money. I don't make enough to gamble.
You don't gamble at all?
No.
Yeah,
we went to
Vegas. Roger $21. You sent Roger $21 to buy.
There you go. There you go.
I got peer pressure.
By the way, guys.
Pressured into that.
By the way, guys, we didn't win.
Yeah.
Well, you're damn straight we didn't win because I'm still working.
Well, no, if we would have won, I wouldn't be here. You'd be like, hey, man, who's starting this podcast? Where'd he go?
Oh, that's shitty.
We'd be up in our studio up in Montana is where we...
See, if I won, man, dude, C3, it'd be worldwide known next day. I'm telling you. But I see how you are.
I know my wife was like, do we need to tell the fellas that we lost? I'm like, no, they already know.
Well, when we didn't hear from Roger, it got kind of quiet. The next morning, Roger, it was like we usually hear from Roger at a specific time. We didn't hear from an hour went by, 2 hours, and I start messaging Josh. It's like, dude, we might have won, or Roger might have won.
Roger's, like Roger's been in Cabo for hours by now, not coming back.
Pulling that McAfee, man.
He'd
be down there living like, what was his name? Steve McAfee. That dude. I can see Roger totally doing something like that down in he's man starting his own thing, and we're trying to hire hitmen to go kill him.
Yeah,
with our money.
Roger's down there. Ventura out. He gets that power donut with long hair, bald on top going on, and yeah. Vegas. Well, when Roger and I went to Vegas, Luke wasn't there. He set aside. All right, man. Here's this is our gambling money for the week, and that's it. It was a special occasion, by and large, man. I don't.
It's entertainment value, man, and now you can do it from your phone. I don't know how I feel about that. So, like Arizona, anyway, we just passed a law. I think it went into effect like 3 weeks ago. I think it actually coincided with the start of the NFL season. So good on them, man. But, they got now, so it's like MGM and all the, your big, Vegas casinos. You can bet on your iPhone through their app. I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
Dude, that's.
What do you mean?
I mean, like I get it. It's like, hey, people's individual responsibilities and this and that, but it's like, man, that's just, dude, I think you're going down the road here where you're just asking. Well, I mean, one, they need money, right? The state wants more money. And this is a great way to get it. But it's like, dude, you're going to put a lot of people because it's highly addictive. Okay. And again, I don't know what side the aisle I fall in this because, again, at the same time, I'm like, well, hey, I'm a grown man. If I want to gamble my paycheck, that's up to me or whatever. But you're talking about something that's extremely addictive. And it's just, I think there may be more bad that comes out of this than good.
Comes to addictive behaviors, Roger is pretty much akin to Pol Pot, Mao, Stalin. You can have all the guns you want because they're not addictive, but a drug or gambling, I think social media is not as addictive as gambling, but I think we discussed this. They use the same
No, you're absolutely right.
tech and the same behavioral analysis and stuff where you're scrolling. It's like, oh, I've seen this story before. You go to the top and pull down. What else do you pull down in the casino? And you get the way it's been explained to me, gambling is it's based on a reward system to where serotonin is released in your brain. And the most effective way, you can't be rewarded every time you don't get the same serotonin release. But if it's random, if it's completely random, it's way more addictive. So that's in Vegas. They know what they're doing. As you guys know, man, they really know what they're doing. Multi-billion-dollar a year industry. They get people hooked, man. It's what they do. Brain science, man. Brain science.
That one-armed bandit, man. That one-armed bandit. Not here in North Carolina. Gambling. You see him, dude. There's one-armed bandit in a gas station, and you see people going in there to and they were like, oh, let me put a couple bucks in here real quick, just see what happens. Don't do it, man. Take that money, put it in your 401k. Take that money and
So
don't.
Texas, casino gambling is not legal in Texas, but there is a Texas lottery. I think you can gamble online with, your Bodog or your, DraftKings and stuff like that. But what I've learned since being here is that there is no gaming commission in Texas. And there's a lot of immigrant communities here who just kind of set up their own little gambling places. So since there's not a statewide gaming commission, it's the local police that have to enforce that, and they just don't have time. Which is interesting. I thought that was really interesting. So there's a lot of illegal, gaming rooms across Texas. It's very interesting. But that reminds me, up in Amarillo, I was looking. I don't want to get too political, so I'll kick it back to you, Josh, to see what you think about this. But I was online the other day. I was looking at kind of the structure of the police force in Amarillo. And I happened across a line and block chart that outlined the government structure for the city of Amarillo. So you have your mayor, and that branches down to city council, down to city manager, over to police. It's a line and block chart flowing down. But, and this is what really got me, and I was like, that kicks ass. At the very top block of who's in charge, like who's running the city, the citizens of Amarillo, Texas, number one, and then everything goes down from there. And it's like, that is awesome.
It's badass.
It's like, oh yeah, I mean, right? That's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. But I don't know. I mean, you think that you think that most people understand, Josh, that they're in charge? I mean, don't you think it'd be a good idea to, market it like that?
I think it would be a fantastic idea to market it like that, and I'm glad to hear that Amarillo gets it. But that right there makes me want to move there. Tell your people there that I'm going to come be their neighbor, whether they like it or not. They probably won't. But yeah, no, it should be marketed like that. And it is marketed like that for for certain folks, certain groups. We understand it. A lot of, I'd say some other people understand it, but it drives me nuts when you hear folks talk about, well, I can't because so-and-so's in charge. Like, no, you're in charge, and it's people, Yeah, and yeah, again, we don't want to get in politics on this one, but people like right now, people are complaining about, the debt ceiling, and people are complaining about, the $3.5 trillion record. People are like, I can't believe, McConnell caved, or I can't believe so and so didn't do this, and I can't believe so. It's like, well, they've been doing that for decades, and guess what?
Yep.
You keep voting for them. You have the power to make that stop. You have the power to positions, so they can't do that anymore. People they just don't look at it that way, and that drives me nuts.
No, it's like and we failed to do shout outs at the very beginning. I just wanted to give a shout out to Brandon real quick because apparently he's doing a great job as, stadiums across the country chant, let's go Brandon, on a weekly basis. I didn't see it initially. So we had to give a shout out to that. I think she was a female reporter. They were, chanting, FJB basically. And she's like, yeah. And, everybody's fired up here. They're chanting, let's go Brandon. Everyone's like, what? That's
Yeah,
not what they're saying, but
no, that's not what
it's no, you're absolutely right, man. And it is good to see. It's like what you're seeing going on with all the school boards and stuff now. And Fox News, they were talking about the other day, and they're like, hey, when you look at the government, especially with the current administration, and again, it's not a Democrat Republican thing or whatever, but you can see it. People are getting fed up, and you're starting to get the parents that are getting fed up, because we talked about, like, with the vaccine mandates and this and that with kids or whatever. There's one thing when, like, okay, you're impacting my freedom, yada yada yada. Once you start messing with people's kids, it's a different ballgame, right? Think that most parents, I mean, they go through hell and high water for their kids, and probably murder somebody, to protect their own kids. And it's kind of weird because people will allow their own freedoms to be infringed upon, but hey, you start messing with my kids, it's a totally different ballgame. And I don't know that that's a fight that the government really wants to pick right now. With everything going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they're going to pick it anyway, but I mean, there's a lot of parents out there, and I know you and Luke are definitely some of them who's like, hey, I'll sacrifice so my kids don't have to. Uh, that at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, we would, we'd die for our kids happily, if it meant, live a better life. I unfortunately though, I think the government is going to try and pick this fight, but yeah, I don't want to go too far down the politics rabbit hole while Luke goes to
But they're hurting themselves, right?
Something.
I mean, they're hurting themselves. Like, we got a call the other day, and it was just a random robocall from our local school district. And they're like, hey, do you want to support this bond? I'm like, F no. That was like literally the first words out of my mouth. She's like, excuse me? I'm like, no. After all that stuff that's been going on, walking out on the kids and this and that, I'm like, no, I'm not giving you another dollar.
No, I don't know what it is, but even some of this, some of the schools here, it's, hey, we need more money, we need this, we need that. And it's like, okay. And so we used to, when we were in Maryland, we were very involved in our PTA, and I didn't get asked not to be part of the PTA. Who didn't like that I was part of the PTA.
Hey, the next meeting's Wednesday at 1800. You don't have to be there, but
Like on Happy Gilmore, hey, meet us on the 9th green. You we were like, there's no one here. They started talking. They're like, hey, we're going to cut art class, or we're going to cut, stuff like this. And then they would be like, hey, here's the budget, for this year. And so there's public information. Here's the school budget. And I line item and look, and thousands and thousands of dollars for, they were setting aside, $1,000 for an social, for the teachers and stuff like that. And I'm like, we're cutting educational classes for kids, and we're putting money so you can have it one day for the teachers? Absolutely not. we got to thank the teacher. This goes back to our episode, of of our rants. People are like, oh, we have to thank the teachers, and hey, you know what? I thank the teachers. I thank the teachers when I send my with their own school supplies, so the teacher doesn't have to buy for them. That's how I thank the teachers. I thank the teachers at the end of the year by giving them, a case of wine. Like that's how I thank the teachers. Like
I leave for 2 minutes.
Well, let's
Roger
change
started
subjects
it.
real quick. Let's change
go
subjects
ahead.
real quick because I'm really curious on this thing because I never got he posted something and to our chat and he never came back. So Josh, you're doing this like 75-day Ironman, whatever. Tell us about this. What's going on with that?
So it's called 75 Hard, and it's not a physical challenge. It's not a weight loss challenge or anything like that. It's a mental challenge, and so I got so the wife, so I woke up one morning and the wife's like, hey, I dedicated last night to doing this, and you want to do it with me? I was like, sure, of course, baby, of course I do. and so at first it was like, okay, yeah, you're doing it, I'll do it. But I'm 6 days into it, and it's actually pretty legit. And so it's a number of things that you have to do every day. There's zero excuses, there's zero deviation, and those things are, you got to do 2 45-minute workouts. You pick the workout. It can be going. The only stipulation is that one of the workouts has to be outside. You can't open up your garage door and do your workout in your garage. That doesn't count. Then you better bundle up. If it's raining, like, dude, it was raining here this morning. I put on a rain jacket and I grabbed my umbrella and I went on a 45-minute walk this morning around my neighborhood for my first workout. So you got to do 2 45-minute workouts. You have to commit to a diet. You can, it's like, hey, I'm cutting out fast food. I'm cutting out, whatever. So for me, I was like, no fast food, no desserts, no junk food.
You got to watch the dairy thing, man. You got to watch the dairy thing because I think that's kind of one of those that, like, if your body doesn't constantly process, like right now, because the whole thing that I've been on the last couple of years, dude. I haven't had a glass of milk probably in 2 years because I'd probably poo myself. I mean, like, I think that's one of those things because, like, if you don't have some type of feed of that every day, every couple of days, like, you almost become lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. So I switched over to almond milk, and I can't taste the difference, and it's fine.
Are you making your own almond milk?
No, I'm not making my own almond milk like you do.
You should, dude. Way better.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper.
From home, I'll have time to make my own almond milk and coffee beans and shit. Right now, I'm still buying my coffee beans or
pressed tofu. Don't forget pressed tofu.
I do have some tofu that I'm going to throw in the air fryer. I'm going to press it later today so I can meal prep for the week. As Randy Travis said, I'm a better class. I still buy my coffee beans already ground. But anyway, you got to do those. You got which game?
Oh, I was just gonna say, you brought that up, and I was like, oh God, is this like Jenny Craig or Nutrisystem or Deal a Meal? I was like, what is this? And I typed it in to Google. I typed it into Google and found out what it is, but I kept pretending to Josh that I was like, well, I don't know what this is.
He got the picture of Dan Marino,
Yeah.
Put down the pie. But anyway, when I typed it into Google, a bunch of stuff popped up, and I'm not in the habit of steering our audience to another podcast. We mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, or I mentioned it to you guys, the Keep Your Powder Dry. It's a couple of sheriff's deputies up in Amarillo that we'll have on the show one day. They did a whole show about it, or at least a third of a show.
Oh, really?
Days ago. So this is one of those things where, like, Josh, do you think that if your wife hadn't told you about it, you you would have been like me. It's like, I don't know what this is, but the rest of the United States, it's probably 100 million people, 150 who know what it is. I mean, I guess I'm just getting behind the times. I'm just not pop culture.
I had never heard of it until she mentioned it to me. I was like, "What is
Well,
this?"
finish the rest of it because you
So-
didn't finish the rest of the challenge.
Yeah. All right. So your 2 workouts, one of them has to be outside. You got to commit to a diet, commit to a workout. You have to read 10 pages of any self-help book. Doesn't matter. It has to be an actual book. It can't be an audio book. It can't be on your Kindle. It has to be a book you hold in your hand. See, I've already read The Black Hand. I've already read that one. Yeah, bring it on. Read that one. Roger. Yeah. So Roger didn't read our book though. Anyway,
I've got every single book here.
So it has to be a self-help. So something anywhere, the subtle art of not getting a book, right? So read 10 pages and you have to drink a gallon of water a day. There's no water flavoring. None whatsoever. There's no alcohol, period. Not even a drop. And no cheat meals. 0. No rest day. And so miss any one of those, you start over at day 1. And you could from those rules, none whatsoever. If you exercise and your workout, cool down, everything takes you to 40 and you don't complete that last minute, you start over at day 1.
So you're going to go 75 days with no alcohol.
75 days with no alcohol. And it's
Run on that, Roger. What's the over under?
That it's not been, again, 6 days in, and 6 days it's like, dude, I can do 6 days of drinking a gallon of water a day. I can do 6 days of working out. What really, I think what the hardest thing is just in those 6 days is that one's easy because I get up in the morning before everybody else.
Right.
I can go crush 45 minutes, doing whatever, fairly easy. It's that doing that, going to work, home, kids got homework, dinner's got dinner, and of course, the wife's here, so for us to, get that second workout, because you're always looking at that after dinner. It's like, okay, it's my time for the day. It's like, dude, I got to go take 45, and that's already taken up, by going and doing, and I can see where that would be, it's going to get difficult, depending upon how your schedule is and everything. And the workouts can't be consecutive. You can't roll from 45 minutes straight into your second workout. They have to be split apart. And the sole reason, just make it inconvenient for you. And again, it goes back. So the guy who started it, his name is Andy Frisella. And, I'll plug his podcast just once here. His podcast, Real AF. It's a legit podcast, and he's a like-minded thinker. He's, very conservative, but he breaks down, where he came from, and then, where he's at now. He's a multimillionaire now, and a lot of it was through, he credits it to the mental toughness. And so, he's like, whenever I'm feeling like I'm slipping, he's like, I do 75 days. They say it's to create a habit. He's like, no. He's like 75 days, and it first came to him. He had 75 days, 10% body fat or less, or he had to pay out like $250K to somebody for a bet. This is where it's kind of started. He was like, well, it's 75 days because 75 days to get to 10% or under. It's nice because it's one of those things. Workouts, I'm not stuck. Somebody else is not saying, hey, here's your workout, stuff like that. Like I can pick that myself.
But you also have a day job. I mean, that's what makes it tough.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can do it in the morning and then you go to work all day and you come home, you got to do the family thing. And then by the way, I still owe 45 more minutes.
And I would love to 45 minutes. I would love to sleep for the next 5 minutes. But this is like, okay, I get up and I have to get moving. And I've noticed that it's 45 minutes now. The kids are starting to get up and get ready for school and stuff like that. Dude, by the time I did that first 45, and pounded some water down and then get my coffee and dude, like I awake. I definitely feel a change in my energy level. Like I am awake to go.
Do you still
Don't
go to
get
bed
it.
at 6:30 every night, or?
And it's still old man bedtime at 7 o'clock.
So I
Now,
have a,
sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I don't think that this would work into the 45 minutes and 45 minutes thing, but I have a buddy who is down at the embassy in El Salvador, and we were just emailing back and forth, and he said he's dedicated himself in the morning to drinking a gallon of water just in the morning. Like, and he tries to do it before 10 o'clock, and he has it, and it works because he has a hard time, finding time to work out. So what he does is he tries as hard as he can to drink, that gallon within about 3 hours. And then when that water starts, he has a deal where every time he goes to the bathroom, before he sits down at his desk, he knocks out a big set of push-ups. So that knocks out, like, over the course of the morning, he'll do like 6 sets of push-ups, and he's flushed his body with almost a gallon of water. So I don't know. I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. But this thing about getting into a habit, it's tough at first, but man, once you get into that habit, it's not tough anymore. That's just your life. So yeah, it's all about getting in that habit. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've enjoyed it. And it's, again, it's easy to be like, oh, it's only 6 days, and, it's hard. Like I think when you get into the 30 days and the 40 days, I think that's when it's going to be like, oh God, I want this to end. Like I need this.
I don't know though. I mean, to
over.
me, it's like your first few days. It's like with anything else. Right? First few days, you're all motivated, like, yeah, rocking and rolling. Once you get to that 10-day mark, like you have to get from 10 to like 21, right? That's where you have that, man, I'm tired of doing this shit. I got busy things going on. It's a weekend. I want to go have a drink, da, 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 da. Plus the weather's getting nice back there. You want to sit out back with a fire, and, and I think once you get beyond that 21 or whatever, that 20, 21, 22 days or something like that, I would imagine at that point, you're probably like, okay, I'm pretty set. The habit's been established and I'm rocking and rolling.
Yeah. We'll see. I like it. I've already physically, but mentally as well. So
now I know you think you're slick.
What happens?
I know you think you're slick. So as you're reading off, the criteria for the 75 hard program, you left off like the most important one. So I just pulled this up. It's on whatever. So you've got to do 2 45-minute workouts a day, one of which must be outside. Follow a healthy diet with 0 alcohol or cheat days. Which, dude, if you do that, I mean, just that 5 days of no alcohol, that to me that would be the hardest one. Drink 1 gallon of water a day. Read 10 pages a day of a nonfiction book. If you fail, you must start over again at day 1. And then, oddly enough, there's just one other bullet that has you must take a progress picture every day.
Yeah. That's right, dude. I forgot that one.
So, I mean, I'm assuming that you're going to add that to the chat, our daily chat, your selfie.
Yeah. maybe I'll add it in 2 weeks.
He'll be in his parka and his Gore-Tex, and that's his selfie every day. He'll look like what's his face, Cartman from South Park. Dude,
I ain't gonna. They talk about it. There's like, hey, it's more of a mental challenge than it is a physical challenge. The physical improvement is just of it. Dude, when I took that day 1 selfie and in the mirror, in the big mirror with no shirt on, dude, that alone was enough of a mental get like, you disgusting piece of shit. Like how did this? And you look at it and you're like, how did this happen? It's like, you just, I got into, after Luke and I did that, that quick competition, I got back into a rut, and it was like, well, let's just grab Chick-fil-A or, get my woke chicken or, it's like, I really didn't pay attention to what I ate, and it was like, I'll have a couple bourbons, every other day or, stuff. I just got into a rut. And then you get to the point where you're like, well, it's hard, it's like, oh, I'm not going to do it because it's hard. And, I let my bitch voice, override what I knew I needed to do. I just didn't do it. And
Well, it's not
so,
even a rut, and that's the problem. I think when you're younger, you can recover faster, right? You can eat whatever you want, your metabolism is high, and this and that. But it doesn't even have to be a rut at our age, because I tell you, it's funny when you had posted that about your 75-day challenge, because we've been trying to get on the road about at least once every other week with a travel trailer or whatever, and it is so hard to eat healthy traveling and on the road, and especially with the whole thing that I tried doing for the last couple of years, whatever, year and a half. But it's like I've really had to put that aside, because really with just me and her, I'm cooking for both of us, and you're really limited as far as what you can take with you and what you have access to or whatever. And like you said with your day one photo, I was like, I got back. One, I stepped on the scale, and I was like, holy dear baby Jesus. Like, dude, I put on 12 pounds like it was nothing, and for like 18 months, right? And like 3 weeks off of that, like, holy shit. I mean, and then, you take your shirt off, like, wow, you look like a piece of chewed bubble gum. So, it's not even like, being in a rut anymore. She's like, at our age, man, if you're not constantly doing something, right? I mean, it's just, it's like, you're not at net zero anymore. Like, you actually have to make some positive,
yeah.
strides,
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's like, man, it's like I'm not getting any younger, and I need, and I'm 44, but I need to 40s so I can go into my late 40s and 50s in the possible shape that I can be in, because eventually wheels are going to start coming off the bus on this chassis, and I'm going to need
I
to
don't
be
know,
in the
man.
best possible starting point that I
Look
can
at The
be.
Rock. That dude's got to be like close to 50, right? The Rock, and he's getting bigger and bigger by the day.
Yeah, it'd be a little different if you had your own living and chef to cook for you.
And some steroids. You think that has you think that has
Yeah.
anything to do with
It's a
it?
pack.
Vitamin T.
I need to head back to northern Iraq and pick some up.
No, I wish the best of luck to you, man. Hopefully you can stick with the 75 days, and we'll wait for those daily selfies to come across in the chat, because I know Luke needs some cover art photos.
And you will not get one. Yeah, no.
I want to kick out real quick. So the Facebook outage, man. So I don't know. Did you see like were your kids going nuts or anything like that, or what? We had the entire Facebook platform go down. So you had Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and then some of the business model go down. Your kids go nuts or anything, Josh? Or did you see any impact from that? It was down like most of the day, right? Like 12 hours or something like that.
Yeah, no, my kids don't have Facebook, so they didn't know. My oldest and middle have Instagram, and but I mean they were, so they're not on it. Kind of crazy though, because that's when I'm at work, really how I communicate with the wife, message wise, and not be able to message. So it's like send her email and be like, hey, I don't know why, but the book of faces is down and everything. Some of my other friends and stuff like that, dude, they were house on the prairie, man. They were like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't communicate. They're like, day 237, we've sent the children to food in the forest. It was ridiculous. But whatever. That whistleblower is full of shit.
Did you listen to the whole hearing?
No,
from the whistleblower.
I caught a couple of snippets. And I think it was as soon as it was like, hey, here's the confirmation that she's linked to the same PR firm as Pisani and Eric Ciaramella. I was like, done. It's not a real whistleblower. Yes.
Yeah, she was calling for more. She's calling for actually more censorship, right?
Which I haven't figured a play out on that. I mean, you look at, we've talked about, 230 protections and this and that. And during the elections, the GOP was, seemed to be for it. pulling the protections, and then the left. Now it seems like it's not necessarily flip flop, but it seems like the left, are they on board with this thing now, or like I'm trying to
No,
figure out the play. Like I don't know where it's going.
no. So what I think is coming out, and she started that. So it was Facebook didn't censor enough. And that's what led to January 6th, is because they weren't on. They didn't do their job, and then they threw in this Instagram. Well, it's hurting young girls' perception of their bodies, and it's causing body dysmorphia, and all this stuff. And so what I think that was so so Congress can step in and try and implement more draconian laws for social media across the board, regardless of whether it's Facebook, Gab, MeWe, Twitter, whatever. They can implement more laws, and then when somebody tries to push back against it, it's, well, girls are, young girls are being harmed by this, stuff on social media. Don't you care about young girls to kill themselves? Do you want young girls to, be depressed? That's what I think. So because
Well,
it doesn't make, because other than it doesn't make any sense.
yeah. I completely agree with you, Josh. I guess we'll close some current events after all, but yeah, I'm with you. I think that this is a kind of an end run, and coupled with what Alphabet Google's doing with YouTube, where you can no longer deny climate change. Your video will be taken down, not just demonetized; it'll be taken down. This is just another end run. That's all it is, to stop speech they don't like, I should say. But we don't have the audience yet. We should do a show where we just deny climate change and question the vaccines for 3 hours and see what happens. Yeah. Anyway, please mute while vaping. Sorry, folks. Sorry you had to hear that. I know. Anyway, I think it was a good show. We kind of steered clear of politics. We're trying to work out a schedule where we can get more consistent, and maybe we can hire a couple more sound managers, audio managers. We can hire a couple more, because that poor guy that we got doing it now, he's all alone. So maybe we can hire a couple more and maybe get some more episodes out there. We appreciate y'all waiting for. So 69. I don't know if we're going to get to 104 or whatever it'll be. I think we've slowed down considerably in 2021, and maybe we get back on track. But we appreciate you, and we'll give you some more shout outs next time. Let's go, Brandon. Until then, keep your canteen cups full and tightly secured.